Alright, so I messed up last episode in going into this one. I was trying to record the first round of the playoffs for you guys, and it froze on me, and I forgot to save it. So we've progressively moved ourselves, and I'm trying to recreate it to the best of my abilities. We played better on the sim, so here's what the playoff tree looks like now. In the Western Conference, Edmonton plays against Minnesota, Calgary's going up against Vancouver, Winnipeg against Phoenix, Chicago going up against Colorado, and in the Eastern Conference, Toronto against the Columbus Blue Jackets, Florida against Ottawa, us the Philadelphia Flyers against the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is a better first-round matchup than Philadelphia against Carolina, and Jersey's going to play against Carolina. So that's the playoffs look. Let's go look at the team standings for the season, and you'll see that we actually did clinch the President's Cup trophy with 47, 24, and 11. 105 points right behind Toronto and New Jersey, who both had 104. So we pretty much replicated it pretty much almost exactly to what we did this time, so that is good to see, and everything else is remaining the same. So let's go ahead and look at the lines of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I can only change these ones, which I kind of want to do right now. So I think I'm gonna run best lines, and so it'll be Eriksson, Voracek, Matt Reed, Simmons, Hall. We're gonna switch out, so we're gonna scratch Hall wherever the hell he is. We're gonna put Wellwood in there, and then I don't know where Gill is. Or no, Hall. We're going to scratch Hall. And Wellwood is in. How Gill won't play. Couturier, Downey. Yep, they're all going to play. So Wellwood will be up there. Couturier, Downey, and Shen will play the third line. Eriksson, Giroux. Yep, looks fine to me. And then Phillips and Braden Coburn. It doesn't really matter now what we run, so that looks fine. And power play will look like that. So shootout and goaltending. So let's go ahead and take a look at the lines of the Pittsburgh Penguins, see what we're going up against. So let's view the lines right now of the NHL teams of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Pittsburgh first line of James Neal, Sidney Crosby, and Chris Kunitz is a very good first line. With Crosby being the player that he is, I'd say they're about even first lines, but they do lack the depth on that right wing slot throughout their entire team, I would say pretty much. Even on the left wing slot, they kind of lack depth after the second line. So second line for them is UC Jokinen, Evgeny Malkin, and Bo Bennett. So Malkin being the strongest player with two weaker players on the side is a good line nonetheless. Third line is Chris Kovacic, Brandon Suter, and Pascal Dupuis. Very lacking depth kind of ways, but a grit line for the team. And fourth line is Ibet, Joe Vitale, and Craig Adams. So again, another lacking depth line. Defensively, they have Paul Martin and Chris Letang, Mazeiros, who we did trade, and Matt Niskanen, along with Rob Scuderi and Scott Dupree. So I think we do have them beat defensively all the way around. Actually, I wouldn't say all the way around. I think with the first line defensive pair, I would say we have them beat depth-wise in third line. And we're pretty much even with them the rest of the way through, now that I think about it. And they do have Marc-Andre Fleury and Thomas Vokoum in net, so they do beat us goaltending-wise. And if we go look at our lines now, we're going to run Louis Eriksson, Giroux, and Jakub Voracek on our first line, along with Matt Reed, LeCavier, and Simmons, Sean Couturier, Braden Shen, and Steve Downey, and Zach Rinaldo, Chris Newberry, and Eric Wellwood. Defensively, we're going to go with Chris Phillips, Braden Coburn, Brooks Orpik, Kimmo Timonen, and OEL, and Luke Shen. So very, very, very strong defensively. And we are going to go with the net with Steve Mason and Ray Emery. Hopefully they can get it done. What I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to go ahead and save. I'm going to cut that part out. But I'm going to save so that way, in case it freezes again, we don't lose it and we can go right back and jump right into the actual game simulation. Alright, so we're right back in. So we saved it, everything's good, and we're getting ready to go into Game 1. So Game 1, we're at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Everybody needs to step up. We need to get things going fairly well, and hopefully everything goes very good and we can get things done. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully we can get the win here. So first period is going to go, wow, we're going to light this one up. So Braden Shen gets one on Fleury, and then Skorchek's going to get one on Fleury. Crosby's going to come back and get one on Mason. Couturier's going to get one, and then the rookie sensation himself, Eric Wellwood's going to get another one on Fleury. And we're on the power play. Going to go into the second period now. We're going to score another one. Vinny Lecavalier gets one on the power play. So this one now we're up by 4 goals. He should easily get the win here. Marc-Andre Fleury was a little bit of Swiss cheese. Mizeiros, our former defenseman, traded away, gets a goal on Steve Mason. And they're going to get 2-5 on the power play. Cannot convert. But it doesn't matter. We're going to get the win after the amazing first period. Zach Rinaldo gets one late one on Fleury. And the scoring just goes all the way around for the Philadelphia Flyers as we beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in Game 1. Braden Shen gets one from Chris Phillips. Skorchek gets one from the first line of Giroux and Eriksson. Crosby gets one from Neal and Letang. Couturier gets one from Downey and Orpik. And then Wellwood's going to get one from OEL and Ronaldo. Lecavalier gets one from Shen and Reed. Mizeiros gets one from Letang and Malkin. And then Ronaldo's going to get one from Chris Newberry. So there's the scoring summary in the first game. A 2-6 win for your Philadelphia Flyers over the Pittsburgh Penguins. And we're already ready to go. You can obviously see that the rivalry is definitely sparking a lot of offensive in this game. And we're going to go into game number 2 now at home to try to get the 2-0 series lead and see how the first period goes. So it's 1-1. Voracek's going to get one on Fleury, but Malkin's going to come back and get one on Steve Mason. Going into the second period, Brandon Suter's going to get one on Steve Mason, and we're only down by a goal now, so hopefully the guys in the team can get one. Somebody can dig deep. Claude Giroux, be the hero, be the team captain and the hero for Philadelphia here. Are you going to be able to score another goal? I don't think so. With 2 minutes left, there it is. Chris Kunitz gets the empty net and puts that dagger in the coffin, and that's the end of the game. So Pittsburgh is going to tie the game up time the series up at 1-1. Voracek gets his second from Claude Giroux and Chris Phillips. Malkin gets his first from Mizeiros and Crosby. Suter's going to get his first from Scott DePriest and Chris Kobasu, and then Kunitz gets one from Letang and Crosby, and that's going to tie the series up 1-1. While we go to Pittsburgh to play the third game of the series, and so. Not the way I want to be right now. I'd rather be 2-0 going into Pittsburgh. But we do know anything can happen. And I hope anything can happen. So we'll see how that goes. Get into Game 3. Both the NHL and AHL games will be sims. So let's see if we can go take the 2-1 lead here in Pittsburgh and start off and hope for the best. So after the first period, there you go. Lecavalier is going to net himself a pair, and Chris Newberry is going to get one on Fleury to take the 3-0 lead in the first period. Going into the second, there's no goal scoring, and into the third, we're going to go to 6 times and see what happens. See if we can shut out the Pittsburgh Penguins on home ice in the Mellon or wherever they're playing now, and it does look like that's going to happen. There's a power play, but Mason shuts the door, and they get another power play at the end. But that's going to be the final. Is a 3-0 win for the Philadelphia Flyers over the Penguins. So Lecavalier gets his second and third from Corbin and Reed, and then Simmons and Reed, and then Newberry gets one from Louis Eriksson and Jakub Voracek. So we're going to take 2-1 series lead with the shutout over the Penguins, and take a day off of rest, a well-needed rest, and then get right back into it in Pittsburgh again, trying to take the 3-1 lead, go back to Philadelphia, and then shut out the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round of the playoffs. So let's see how this game goes for us. So in the first period, we're going to get 2 goals easy. Jakub Voracek and then Vinny Lecavalier on Marc-Andre Fleury. In the third period, Malkin's going to get another goal for him. So I think that's his second of the series. And then Claude Giroux is finally going to get himself on the board. And it's now 3-1 in Pittsburgh. Power play goal for Vincent Lecavalier. He looks like he's being the player of the playoffs so far. And then Malkin's going to get his second of the game on Mason. But I already think it's a little bit too late, and I think we're going to take the 3-1 series lead here as the time progressively goes down. No empty netter. 4-2 final. Philadelphia over Pittsburgh, and the Battle of Pennsylvania is being dragged out with 3-1 series going back to Philly with the Penguins' backs on the wall. So Skorchek gets one 29 seconds into the game. His third of the series from Louis Eriksson and Claude Giroux. Lecavalier is going to net his fourth of the series from Matt Reed and Wayne Simmons. Malkin gets his second from Letang and Andre Mizeiros, and then Giroux gets his first from Braden Corbin and Jakub Skorchek. And then you have Lecavalier netting his fifth of the series from Braden Coburn and Matt Reed, and Malkin gets his third from James Neal and Sid the Kid. So with the 3-1 series lead, we're heading back to Philadelphia. We're playing at home in front of our home fans, trying to out the Pittsburgh Penguins, send them hacking in the first round, and claim ourselves, I hope that doesn't sim over it. It looked like it was going to. And claim ourselves as the superior kings of Pennsylvania and claim reign for the 2013-2014 season. So let's get into the first period. Pittsburgh's going to score one quickly as James Neal gets his first on Steve Mason. Into the second, we're going to tie it up as Jakub Skorchek gets one on Fleury. And we're going to go down to the 6 times as we need just one goal to put the Penguin season to an end. And Steve Downey is going to step up and get that one goal for us. and we have the lead in the dying minutes of the third period and home ice, and we're gonna knock the Pittsburgh Penguins out of the 2014 Stanley Cup playoffs in the first round. They're done. So James Neal gets his first from Sidney Crosby and Chris Kunitz. Jakub Voracek gets his fourth of the series and of the playoffs from Claude Giroux. And Downey's going to get his first from Vinny Lecavalier and Sean Couturier. So there you go. The Pittsburgh Penguins are done in the first round of the playoffs by the Philadelphia Flyers, and we are going to claim reign as the Pennsylvania champions. So let's go ahead and see who we're going to play in the second round here. I believe either Jersey or Carolina. I believe that's how it's going to go. And we are going to play up against the Carolina Hurricanes in the second round. So there you have it, boys. And now we're going to go ahead and look at the team stats for the playoffs and see how that goes. So we got our 5 games played. We have 4 wins, 16 goals for. So I think Pittsburgh only scored 8. But Ottawa looks like to be a very, very offensive team. Same thing with Carolina, scoring 20 and letting up goals against. We only let up 8, so that is very low. The highest being Florida, letting up 23, and they're done in the first round. Winnipeg's out, New Jersey's out, and Minnesota is also out, with Colorado, Toronto, and Pittsburgh following in suit. So there that is. Let's go look at the player stats for the playoffs. So let's go ahead and look at that real quickly. So goals, Vincent Lecavalier has 5 goals in 5 games, and then Jakub Voracek has 4 goals in 5 games, 1 from Ronaldo, Downey, Couturier, Chris Newberry, Claude Giroux, Eric Wellwood, Braden Shen, all have a goal apiece. And yeah, so we have a couple guys who still need to get a goal in the playoffs, which, you know, you can't always have, but Matt Reed, there he is right there, the third line right winger for the team, has 5 assists and 5 points in 5 games. Giroux has 4 assists and 5 points in 5 games. Corbin has 3, Eriksson has 3, Wayne Simmonds has 2, along with Chris Phillips and Voracek. Newberry's got 1 with Couturier, Downey, Zach Ronaldo, Luke Shen, OEL, Vincent Lecavalier, Brooks Orpik, and that's going to run that one out. So there's 3 guys who have yet to get a point on the team. Voracek and Lecavalier both have 6 goals in 5 games. Claude Giroux and Matt Reed both being a point-a-game player, and then Eriksson and Braden Coburn getting 3 per games, with these guys running it out at 2 and then down to 1. So Kimmo Timonen is the only player in 5 games to not get a point in the playoffs. And it's not something that you want to see, but not anything that you can get very upset about. Steve Mason, being the only goalie to play in the playoffs, has a 1.40 goals against average and a 94% save percentage. So a very good, very solid goaltender. Let's go ahead and look at the playoff tree to see what happened around the league. So let's go ahead and do that. So as you can see, Edmonton and Calgary, so the Battle of Alberta going on in the Western Conference to see who gets to go to the Western Conference final, and Chicago's going up against Phoenix, as long as Ottawa and Columbus are going against each other, and we're going to be playing Carolina. So as you can see, that's how the left and the Western Conference fared out. 4-2 over Edmonton and Minnesota. 4-2 Calgary over Vancouver. 4-2, or sorry, I'm reading the wins. Sorry. No, I'm reading, 4-2, 4-2, and then 4-1 over Chicago and Colorado. And then you're going to see how it goes in the Eastern Conference. 4-1 Columbus over Toronto. I believe that was a 4-2 over Ottawa and Florida. 4-1 over Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, which we saw, and 4-2 over Jersey and Carolina. So it looks like the only lopsided series were Columbus and Toronto, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and Chicago and Colorado. All the other games were fairly done, but that's how the second round's going to look. That's how it's going to look when we get back into this. And I'll see you guys next time. We're going over the second round, where we're going to be playing against Carolina, pushing for the conference championship.